It's time now for perspective. At the tender age of 18, Zarifa Adiba found herself conducting Afghanistan's first female orchestra in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. The orchestra was celebrated around the world as proof of how far Afghanistan and women's rights in particular had come since the fall of the Taliban in 2001, when music was banned and women and girls kept indoors. Now, of course, the Taliban is back in power, turning back the clock on hard-won freedoms overnight. My guest today is Afghan viola player Zarifa Adiba, who's just published her memoir called Indomptable, or Invincible, I think is how you translate that in English. Thank you so much for coming in to speak to us here on France 24 today. Now, you were born in 1998 in Kabul. The Taliban fell 3 years later. But your path to becoming a musician was by no means simple. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So it goes very, back in my childhood. I loved music so much. So we were refugees at the beginning in Pakistan, and then we come back in 2013 and 14 back to Afghanistan. And my interest in music was increasing but not decreasing, you know. So one day, my aunt, my youngest aunt, and me went to find out a vocal teacher, and then suddenly we found out about the first music school and the only music school in Afghanistan. And like that, I started music. It was all sudden.
And how did you actually learn? Did you take lessons?
So there's just one music education entity in Afghanistan, the Afghanistan National Institute of Music. So I started from 9th grade there. So I studied 9th, 10th, and 11th grade in music school. And I was playing viola there, and I was conducting there, and I was studying music.
And tell me about the formation of this orchestra that you later took to Davos, Switzerland.
There were a lot of boys band in our school, and there was no girls. And there was few girls who wanted to create a girls band, and we were having this inspiration and all. And then one girl by the name of Mina, she was the youngest among us, and she was like, let's make our band. And we made it, and then suddenly all the girls were so interested to join in, and then we had like so many girls in this group. And then our teacher, whose name is Allegra Boggs, she said that we are a lot, we can make it an orchestra. And then we were just there.
And what was it like for you performing at Davos at the World Economic Forum? What was that like for a performer? You were only 18 years old at the time.
It was more than, I've said it before too, it was more than music, you know, like we were standing in front of the world, and we were Afghans, and we were girls, and we were playing music, you know. So it was not just the Afghan traditional music or Western music that we were playing, but we were representing Afghan girls who have the capability to do what they want to do in their life, but they are not allowed to. We were representing a very beautiful image of the world, a beautiful image of Afghanistan to the world, because the world has this image of like war, like anger, violence, where women are not respected. So we were playing there, you know. So it was more than music, I think. We were representing a very tiny, beautiful part of Afghanistan, and we were showing how Afghan girls are capable of doing things if they are allowed to.
And at the same time, people within your family, people you knew back in Afghanistan, were not exactly thrilled that you were part of an all-girls orchestra.
They didn't know that I'm studying music at the beginning, and after Davos, they got to know that I'm a musician. It was not very welcoming, though. That was the time that I stopped music, and I started again my normal education, you know. But yeah, they didn't know the 3 years that I was doing music.
And your book, it should be said, starts with an extremely poignant note. It says, "As I'm writing the final words of this book, the Taliban have entered Kabul." This is in August, just a few months ago, August 2021. What did that feel like, completing your book just as the Taliban were on the verge of retaking power in Afghanistan?
So Anne and I started writing this book in 2018, like 3 years back, right? Neither her and neither me, we never thought that we gonna publish it at this time. So we have been working for a long time, and we were at the end of the chapter, we were like, oh, it has a happy ending, I'm in Bishkek and everything is cool, but then suddenly everything changed, you know? So I don't know how to explain what I feel, but it is sad and it is what it is. I cannot, like, it is sad.
Do you have friends and family presumably still in Afghanistan? How are they feeling right now?
I have friends, so a lot of my friends are out, fortunately or unfortunately, because I don't like to be a refugee also. But they are out. Some of them are still there. They are worried, and we are worried here, but we cannot do anything.
And the Taliban has said that they'll be more moderate this time round, although we've heard numerous reports of women not being able to go to universities, girls being refused access to schools. Do you think there's any reason to believe the Taliban have changed?
No. At the beginning, like when they were just taking the provinces, I was thinking that, okay, maybe, you know, I was trying to be positive, but when they were passing day by day, I was realizing that no, they are the same Taliban, but they know more politics now, they are more dangerous now, they know technology more now, so it is not better, but it's worse than 1996 till 2001. And like people who's gonna read this book, they're gonna understand that how girls were living in the past 20 years, when I was living, when we were like, okay, Afghanistan is democracy, like girls are allowed to go to school and this all, they're gonna read it that how difficult it was for girls. And now we cannot even imagine, like, we cannot imagine that how it is, because music is banned in Afghanistan. Girls are not allowed to go to school. Girls are not allowed to go outside without a man. Like just days ago, 4 women activists were disappeared and murdered. A lot of things are happening right now. And the biggest victim of this all chaos is women. And I cannot, like, even this book cannot explain it, that how girls' situation can be right now. Like, I think Afghan girls, and I'm an Afghan girl, we don't want anything more but to study, but to go to school, but to be allowed to stand up and say that, oh, I'm a human being, you know, like, respect me and respect my choices. And it's not happening. And especially right now, I don't think it's happening.
But there is a whole generation of Afghan young women who grew up without the Taliban. There must be some real grassroots activism within Afghan society that maybe gives you hope that things can improve again.
So these videos, these are the protests from now when Taliban is in Afghanistan. These are the women, my generation, that grew up, like, I cannot say that I grew up while Taliban was not there, because we were feeling Taliban so close. Every day I was going to school, I was feeling the threat that any time a bomb blast can come and blast themselves, you know? So we didn't grow up without fear of Taliban. We grew up with the fear of Taliban, but there was like a huge hope in our mind that we're gonna change our country. We're gonna change the future for the girls, for the next generation. The problems that we are facing, our next generation is not gonna face. At least they're gonna play music without fear. They're gonna go to school without all these difficulties. But again, we went back like 20 years back, you know, like, it's hard to come forward again. Like, I have hope, I'm hopeful, but I would be lying if I say I'm not scared and for the future.
It's been wonderful speaking to you. I'm sorry we're going to have to leave it there. We could speak about this for hours. Zarifa Adiba, author of L'Indomptable, Invincible, I think we'd say in English. Thank you so much for speaking to us on France 24.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you.